Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at the new Circular Pagan Tarot deck from Uusi Design Studios. Uusi is the work of partners Peter Dunham and Linnea Gits, and the pair have produced some of the most wonderful artistic designs anywhere in playing cards. And the Pagan line in particular features artwork based on oil paintings from Linnea herself and are some of the most stunning decks that you'll find anywhere. But for this particular iteration, Uusi decided to go in a new and really unique direction. So for years, they've been fascinated by a simple pack of 72 round playing cards that were created around 1500 by a master engraver known simply by his initials, PW. The deck featured elaborate artwork based on his studies of nature, and you can find single images from the deck in museums around the world. Really interesting and unique deck overall. And after years of pondering the idea of making their own circular deck, Uusi decided to make the leap and make their own design. But for this one, they drew on their iconic Pagan Otherworlds tarot deck as the design backdrop for the cards inside. And this is the result. I'm a gigantic fan of Uusi's work, and in particular their previous Pagan decks, including the Otherworlds deck. And so I was immediately drawn to this one. I'm really excited to check it out. So let's go. All right, let's start off with the box. Now, it's a circular deck of cards, so don't expect to see a standard regular tuck case to this one. And of course, you're gonna get something a little bit unique. So this one comes in a square box. It has a really nice, thick, sturdy construction to it overall. Made of a thick cardboard and definitely has some kind of weight and heft to it overall. The design here on the background is what you're going to see is the back design of the cards. A little bit different color done in these grayscale colors, but a really elegant, clean kind of slate finish to it overall. Very beautiful design. You can see the little flowers in the design there overall. And then it's set off by the little accents of the gold foil. Just beautiful, elegant, clean design overall. You get Uusi on that kind of banner down the front, and then the line of gold foil that wraps around along with that banner that wraps across the top. And then on the back, you get another symbol that's featured on a lot of the previous Pagan decks. This is called the Whisk of Lima. Lima is the Baltic goddess of luck and fate, and a fitting representative for games of chance and, of course, decks of cards. So you'll see that symbol on a number of the previous Pagan decks, all of which kind of draw their inspiration from some of the pagan gods of the past. So that's this that little stick symbol that you see there. As you turn to the bottom, you get a little bit of ad copy for Uusi, and you can see that this deck was printed in Taiwan by the Expert Playing Card Company. And then the box itself opens up top to bottom, so it's a two-piece construction, so you can just pull it off here. Nice little addition. This set does have magnets in it, so it's a nice little satisfying snap as you close it up. It gives it just a little bit of extra, sturdiness to the box overall. A really nice construction to it. The inside just kind of lined with just regular black cardboard. Very nice look to it, and then you can pull that circular deck out from inside. So very nice tuck case overall. I think the gold, not necessary overall. I think it's a little bit too shiny, but still a very clean, and I like how thick and sturdy this box is overall. Okay, that's the box, but let's get into the cards, and we'll start with the back design. Of course, you'll see that circular design, and the back features something that, again, if you've seen previous Uusi Pagan decks, is going to be a little bit familiar. That floral kind of wallpaper design, the borderless design on this one, is the same one that you'll see featured in one color or another across all of the Pagan decks. It's a really simple, elegant design, features little hits of gold along with the pops of blue and red from the flowers. Really clean design, and love how, uniform and yet at the same time kind of interesting and elegant it looks overall. So classic design. I'm a big fan of it, and translates well to the circular design. But now we get on to the cards, and this is where we're going to see some of Linnea's artwork really come to life. And right off the bat, you'll see it first off on the Ace of Spades. So it does have the traditional suits: spades, diamonds, clubs, and hearts. But in addition to that, also each one of the suits, including the aces, pays homage to one of the original suits of a deck of tarot cards. The tarot cards featured swords, pentacles, wands, and cups. And so you'll see each one of the aces looks at one of those. So the Ace of Spades corresponds to the sword suit, and so you can see the hand there with the spade pip in the background, that hand raising a sword that's ringed with a crown at the top. Beautiful bit of artwork, the shading on it, the detail, every bit of it, just tons of little intricate details throughout. And I really like the spade pip coloring there. You can see little bits of kind of slight imperfection in the coloring. That little gradient of the design just kind of gives you that hand painted feel to it overall. On the bottom, because this is the Ace of Spades, just says simply Pagan by Uusi. And then to fit with the round theme, the pips and indices are all the way around. So no matter how you pick up this card, you'll have the pips and indices readily readable. So it just kind of alternates between pip index, all the way around. The other three also beautifully illustrated, and again, pay homage to one of those suits from a tarot deck. So the diamonds, you can see that diamond in the background, correspond to the pentacles. So that kind of coin pentacle symbol there in the middle. The clubs correspond to the wands, so the hand this time clutching a crude stick that represents a wand there in the center with the club in the background. And then finally the hearts, which represent the cups. And this one, kind of flowing with water, has a dove, a symbol of peace, flying above it. I really like this one. I love just little sprays of water out of this one. So that is your 4 aces and introduction into the tarot suits of the deck, but lots more to get through. All right, so the number cards are all relatively simple. They of course feature that ring of pips and indices around the corner, and then Uusi's sort of classic pips in the middle. Again, those pips kind of done with that little bit of gradient. You'll see variation from one pip to the next, so the pips don't all look identical. It gives you a really sort of handmade, a little bit of a bespoke feel to the deck overall. They use this same style of pips on a lot of their different decks. If you've seen the Bohemia deck or some of the other Pagan decks, among others, you'll see this same style of pips, and I really love what they do here. But inside that circular design, otherwise fairly standard looking set of pips. Slightly custom, but nothing too out of the ordinary, other than what we've already talked about. But as you get into the diamonds, you get that classic gradients of red, and here you can really see the variation in the color. In parts it looks almost black, and then other parts it'll look much lighter color overall. So through the diamonds, and then into the clubs, and then finally the hearts. So just like a classic deck of cards, all the numbers 2 through 10 represented. But the quartz and the other extra cards are really where the artwork starts to just take it to the next level. So because this is a tarot deck of cards, it's going to feature 4 overall cards for each one of the suits, rather than your traditional 3 court cards. So you get the jacks, the C here is the cavaliers, the queens, and the kings. And each one of them features this circular design in the center representing the court character, and all inspired by some of the deities and characters that might have worshipped nature. And so because this is the suit of swords, you'll see this the dark clad figure here in the center with the bare pelt draped over his shoulder, and of course he's holding the sword that's representative of his suit. Beautiful look to it overall. I love how the design just sort of interacts with each other to form that beautiful 4-way court card there in the middle. Really nicely done, and gives you that very unique feel to it overall. And every one of them has a completely different design. So the cavalier here, this one features a horse in it. You'll see animals or bits of nature that are featured in all of these. This is one of my favorites. I love that flowing red hair with the white horse. Just a really nice look to it on the cavalier card there. And then into the queen, kind of has a Joan of Arc look to her. And finally the king, another menacing looking figure there. Then as we go into the diamonds, of course, now we've gone to the pentacles, and so now you'll see the swords replaced with pentacles that make an appearance. And here you can really see some of the pagan inspirations, that nature worship that's really highlighted here. So this one on the jack, all covered in leaves and straw all the way around, just a really cool look to it. And then that pentacle in the center. And then into the cavalier, the queen, and the king. A bit of a lighter feel to these. And then the clubs, more of the same, this time switching over to the wands, or those sticks, kind of meant to be primitive wands there overall. Again, you'll see just the variety in each one of these. Each one of these is based on an oil painting by Linnea Gits herself, and so each one of these just painstakingly and beautifully crafted overall. Just love the designs, love how the 4-way design works through, just so much to love on these. And then finally into the hearts represented by the cups, and so you'll see them clutching beautifully intricate chalices in their hands as we go through these. Another one I really like. I love those winged helmets there on the character, as well as those dark horses. And there's the queen and the king. But this is a tarot deck, so we're not done with the regular cards. We have lots more to go. This is a full over 70 cards in this deck, and so we get lots more to go through. Now, you might think of these as kind of the two jokers if you're kind of equating this to a typical deck, but these are two extra cards that come with this one, and these feature two cards that you'll find in the Pagan Otherworlds tarot deck, or at least circular versions of those cards. So the first one represents death, and you can see that grim reaper creature with the scythe raised up, ready to kind of slash down. Really beautiful and kind of haunting, chilling look to this one. Love the arrows kind of forming wings, the skull, the skeletal hand raised up. Just a really cool card overall. And then the last one is representative of the devil, that horned mask. And then the suit actually has human faces woven into it. Really, again, kind of a creepy card. And so two of the cards from a classical major arcana would be Death and the Devil. And so those are the two that make their way onto what I guess I would call the two jokers of the deck. But then to fill out the deck, rather than going with your classical major arcana, this one went with, I'll call it a little bit of a space theme to it overall. And we start off with the Sun card. Again, a perfect fit for nature and of course a circular card. So this one features a bright orange and yellow sun, and it's really highlighted with that interesting kind of mottled pattern of gold foil that really just gives this a little bit of an extra shine. Really cool card to it overall, and it kind of has a watercolor feel to the border there. Really nice card overall. And then you get a series of 8 cards that are representative of the 8 planets, and so each one of them is going to feature the symbol of the planet on the outside, as well as the planet itself forming the center here. So first we're looking at Mercury, and the character around the outside is actually the Greek or Roman mythology character that was inspired by the planet itself. So Mercury corresponds to, of course, the god Mercury from Roman mythology. He was the messenger god, and among his symbols was his staff that was represented as 2 snakes that were winding together. And so in this one, he's literally holding a pair of snakes that are kind of twisting their way up. But you can recognize him, of course, by that sort of staff that he's carrying, as well as his winged headband there. A cool look at Mercury. The next one, kind of working our way through the solar system, we have Venus, who is the goddess of love in Roman mythology, so a beautiful creature there. And then we go to Earth, of course, probably the most recognizable planet for those of us who live on Earth, and Mother Earth is the fitting representative around the edges, so you can see her kind of nurturing her home planet. And then we move on to Mars. Mars was the god of war, and so this is probably the most intimidating. The red planet here, surrounded by depictions of Mars himself with his sword and his shield raised. Just a really cool looking card to it. It's definitely one of the more aggressive designs overall. Continuing our way down, we make our way to Saturn. Saturn was one of the titans from before even the gods that most of the Greeks worshiped. You had the Titans, and Saturn was one of the main ones. So his planet Saturn there, the ringed planet in the center, and then Saturn himself kind of towering over, has a very, I don't know, looks larger than life overall, even compared to some of the other ones. You can see him almost toying with one of the moons of Saturn there. And then next up is Jupiter. Jupiter is the largest planet and corresponds to the king of the gods, Jupiter. Jupiter was the god of lightning, among other things, and so here you can see him with the bolts of lightning in his hand. This is another one of my favorite of the cards there. Really love the recognizable planet with that red spot, and then Jupiter with the lightning bolts around the edge. Just a really cool look to it. Next, we go to Uranus. Uranus, another one of the primordial gods, and so you can see kind of an older character there represented around the edges, wearing the toga, that pale blue planet. And then finally, we have Neptune. Neptune was represented by the god of the sea, Poseidon as he was known in Greek mythology, or Neptune in Roman mythology. And you can see them here with that little, I don't know, the head of a trident, I guess I would call it. With the 3 prongs there, which is his classic weapon, and then one of his sea horses rearing its head off to the side. Another one of my favorites. I know I've said that about a lot of the decks, a lot of the cards in this one, but this Neptune one is another really cool one, that piercing blue color. And then 5 final cards to go. We started out with the sun as we went through these extra cards, and now we finish out with 5 cards that represent the phases of the moon. And so we start out with the new moon, of course, all black, the moment when the moon is completely invisible. And then as it goes through its phases, we can see the moon itself, is like the crescent moon and things like that, represented with the bits of gold foil. So you get that shining moon in the night sky. And then as it grows throughout the course of the month, so here's the half moon, and then here's almost a full moon, and then finally the full moon card, that full look of the gold foil shine on it. And that completes the extra cards in the deck. An absolutely stunning set of cards, bits of artwork throughout this one. Just an absolutely masterful tarot deck overall. And I'm not going to talk too much about handling, because honestly, this is not much of a handling deck as things go. I don't even know how to fan a circular deck, but these are printed by experts. They're done on a nice, kind of sturdier feeling stock. Still kind of thin, not ultra thin. Has a little nice snappy feel to it. Good slide to it. So they handle pretty well as far as I can tell, but certainly not something I'm going to use for like fans or cardistry or anything like that. This one, above all, if you use this as a tarot deck, obviously you're going to love something like this. It really provides some unique artwork, but this is an art deck first and foremost. Uusi really just knocks it out of the park with their artwork, and this one is no exception. An absolutely fantastic addition to the Pagan line. Can't recommend any of the Pagan decks highly enough, but the circular deck really just brings something unique to the table. Anyway, that's it. That is the look at the circular Pagan tarot deck from Uusi. Hope you enjoyed. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to check out more of Uusi's work. They have tons of beautiful decks. But for now, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what else you're excited to see, and I'll see you for the next one.